So are you in the office today or at home today?
I'm just at home today.
Office. All right. Well, we might kick it off. It's 12 o'clock. Welcome to those who are watching the recording and welcome to those who join shortly. Today's episode of Points, Lines and Polygons is with a new graduate from Flinders Uni, Moses Onguso. Probably pronounced that wrong, but yeah, welcome, Moses, and thank you for agreeing to be part of today's webinar. So Points, Lines and Polygons is just a casual chat with people in the industry, and I thought Moses had a good story, as a new student, and so we're going to take you on his journey today. For those who have just joined, if you do have any questions, you can either put them in the chat, but we will try and have a question and answer session towards the end of it. So welcome everyone, and welcome again, Moses. As I said, we just really want to sort of, I guess, discover more about who you are and how you came to be at Flinders Uni and studying what you are, and how you got into the work that you're doing at the moment. So I guess you can take us back as far as you like in terms of your journey to starting that course, your journey to getting here and everything. So I'll leave it to you to start wherever you like in your journey.
I'd love to start with maybe how I started campus. That was after high school.
Yep.
So when I started doing space science and astronomy back in my country, because I've also been an NASA enthusiast in a way, into NASA and stuff. My course went on well, but anyone who knows Africa or maybe my country is not that much developed into space science. Like even the space station that is there, just a small one, it's not as effective as one would expect a space station to be. So by the time I was doing my fourth year, after knowing the steps I would take, I came across remote sensing as a unit in my course, and I performed well, and I also became interested because when you're having just an individual unit, maybe borrowed from another course, you sort of just get a bit. You don't get like the whole of it. So I had remote sensing in bits, but the interest that I had in it made me inquire more about it. And so before I finished my studies, I reached out to the professor who was teaching the unit. And then he's the one who gave me now the whole idea of remote sensing being borrowed to the likes of GIS, where if you take it, you might get more compared to what you're getting in space science. Then after my studies went well, that's when I thought, maybe I might try out this thing. But I didn't want to try it in my country, not in a wrong way, but there's that point in life where you also sort of want to try a different environment. I don't know if you've ever had that, but I got to a point where I was like, I'm used to this country and I would like to try another one. So one of my options was Australia, and there was also USA, but I'm not really into USA, if I might say that. So I just opted into Australia. I was to go to Queensland, but the agent who was helping me suggested I should start somewhere where they had someone, you know, how you need someone to help you maneuver around, get along. So by that time, they didn't have someone in Queensland. So it was easier getting someone in Adelaide where I could get help. And actually, anyone who knows Flinders is one of the few, maybe even the only one offering the course right now in Adelaide. So it just had to be the option. Got into Flinders, met with the great people like David Bruce, if you've ever come across them, and
Yeah, I know
you know
David
how
well. Yep.
good he is. You go
Yes.
wrong, you're wrong. He doesn't tolerate it. I mean, that is the good thing I had experienced when I was doing the masters in GIS, because he's someone who gives you the truth as it is. He doesn't take you into meanders. And I think that also helped me learn GIS deeper, because the moment he just turned down my ideas or maybe turned down my answers saying this one is wrong, this one is wrong, he made me want to read more and understand what I'm getting wrong. Because I also remember in one of the units, we were looking at advanced Earth observation, and mainly it was focused in SAR, which is radar images. And at first, if anyone knows well, they know SAR is a bit complicated compared to optical. So when I was starting SAR, I felt like there were things just going around, and like, oh, synthetic aperture radar, you just hear another word and you're like, oh, it doesn't make sense. So we had an assignment. There's an assignment which involved downloading an image, analyzing it, and working on the backscatter, getting the general idea. And I think I was way off in the unit. Then we had a meeting, and he really, let me be honest, I didn't do well. So he literally just said, you didn't do well. And yeah, I failed the unit, not the whole unit, because it was just an assignment. So I failed that assignment, and it gave me the pressure to work better in the remaining assignments so that I ensure I don't fail the unit. So I feel like the people also in Flinders, they give you the push to get the better person of you. And during my studies, I also came across you, of course, Tim. Um, I've not been that active because, you know, sometimes school could really get to your neck, not in a bad way, but the assignments and everything, you have to keep track of everything. And I think that's one thing about school we need to learn. You just have to. The deadline
And
and everything. Yeah. So as we were still joining, knowing where to maneuver, I also came across Graham. If you've been to Geospatial Council of Australia, he was one time having a position there. So Graham also helped me maneuver around spatial area, brought me to job opportunities, and at one time we came across a job opening in Microgria, where it was just to work as a casual survey assistant, but it also helped me learn more on the same issue that I've been going through all the time, which is the quality of data. Anyone who's been in the field will start with data. You might meet with someone and someone will just tell you data. And then after data, they'll tell you maybe metadata. Anyone who knows. So it's data, and then it comes data about data. So yeah. So at Microgria, I also learned the same, because when we went to collect data, you know, when you're just a rookie, you're starting, you're like, the person will say, we are off with like 5 mil. And you're like, 5 mil, that's good, let's go. You take the machines and you want to go home. They're like, No, we
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
repeat. Yeah, they were so accurate that they don't want to mess it up. And when you get a zero, they're happy and they're like, no, we can't go. So I think the people I've interacted with in Australia have also helped me grow as a person and get more understanding of the field. So I used to go to Michael Greer, work as a casual as I continued doing my studies, and also meeting with people in events like the Spatial Information Day. So I'll say coming to Australia was also a good idea because I feel like I've grown more than I would have in my country. Maybe my country still, I would have grown the same because at times it depends on the individual's potential and efforts. But I feel like my choice was well thought of by me, a credit to me. And also the people in Australia, I mean, I can't say everyone, but the people I've come across are just the best you'll ever come across. I've never seen anyone who's open to someone uh, telling them, if you're in this direction, just go in this direction. Just a strange face you might meet even in events like Special Information Day. There are a lot of great people. Someone might not offer you a job, but they'll just tell you, do this and do this. And that just helps you a lot. So I've really developed myself since I came here, and I can put a difference in the person who came and the person who's talking right now,
Nice.
both in professional level and also in English. Because when I was coming, my English was so crook. But right now, at least I can say it's getting better because I'm interacting with more of you guys. So I did my studies. It wasn't that bad because the lecturers were not so soft on me. So I had to put more effort. And when I got to my final semester, I decided to do 3 units and research. So I injected a selective unit called sustainable development because I've also had a mind of diversity in all my life. So that's why even when I was doing space science, I went ahead and chose a topic in remote sensing. So when I got again into GIS, in my final semester, I decided to choose something a bit out. So I
Yeah.
chose sustainable development and some AI unit. Those were the two selective units I decided to go with. Then did a project in forest biomass estimation. So I was to do it in Australia, but TAN did not provide me with the most recent data as I had expected. I don't know what the issue was, but maybe by now they've sorted it out. Tried to reach out to them, but it was in vain. And with schoolwork, you also have to work with time. You can't sit down and wait for them. So I did some research and found some data from US. So I opted to do it in US and focused in an area known as Iowa.
Oh, yep.
So yeah. So I used the US forest inventory analysis data and downloaded their data, which was up to date. That was 1970 to 2025. So they had a wide range of data, but I focused in the most recent years. So I decided to use from 2023 to 2025 because 2026 was still developing. So I could not take a year that's not completed. Then another issue I had was I wanted to use the new satellites which had been launched. So we had NISA and ESA biomass. And these satellites took long to release their data. Like ESA right now, we still don't have like full coverage. And then NISA started releasing their data in January, around January 20th, somewhere there, which by that time I had already downloaded even my data and started working, so I could not use it. So I opted for optical, Sentinel-2, and I worked with Sentinel-1, which is a C-band satellite. So I had to twist my project from checking on how perfect NISA and ESA are or on their potential, but now I moved it to using Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 to estimate forest biomass as a way of motivating the reasons why we need now the NISA and ESA biomass, because we know they already have some limitations. So we believe this limitation might be countered by the NISA and ESA biomass because they come with a long wavelength, and they have the L and P band, which penetrates past the canopy compared to C band. So I worked with this, and as I said, everyone you come across in Spatial, they'll tell you data, metadata. So with the data, I had to clean up the data, clean the nulls, data that wasn't reliable, fields that had no values in some cells. I had to do away with them, just cleaning the data basically. And then when I went to the metadata, that's when I understood how the data is, everything about the data, and also came across the coordinate swapping. So at the start, I had a feeling this might affect it, but it is something that I don't have any control, because even when you work with GIS data and maybe you download the parcel data or do some geocoding and something, we believe the data is not the real data. They either swap, which is the same case, or maybe just move it a little bit away, because if it's parcel data, someone could just access your house. So I believe most of the data go through this, and it is, according to me, it was not a good enough reason to go away from using the data. So I decided to go on with this in mind, of course, and did the buffering in order, because anyone who knows satellite data, it takes as an area, not as a point. So I did the buffering across the plots, downloaded now the Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, did the pre-processing mainly for SA, because in Sentinel-2 I just downloaded level 2, which is the 2A, which doesn't really need that much of pre-processing. But for SA, it definitely needed, which I had to go to Snap, do the pre-processing like terrain correction, speckle filtering, and the others. Then export it back to ArcGIS, because I was using ArcGIS in my project. And then also for Sentinel-2, I had to collect all the tiles into one, which was using a feature called as mosaicing. So I had to mosaic all the tiles, because anyone who knows the satellite collects the image in tiles. So you had to combine them. And depending on how you're working, you might also need to combine the bands, because it's an MSI. Yeah. Sorry for those who don't understand. If you're still a rookie, I was also a rookie. But you can Google, I think you'll just understand, because it's direct. So after this, so I extracted the variables from each of the satellites. So for optical, I opted to use the reflective bands. So I used the reflective bands and also calculated the indices, because opticals are well known for indices. They sort of use the leaf area index, because even for the forest cover, we believe they'll focus more on the canopy. Yeah. So I used the bands, calculated the indices like the NDVI, which is the most used, NDWI, which is the normalized differential water index, the SAVI, soil adjusted vegetation index. Most of these indices are in abbreviation, so I might say the abbreviation or just even say the long one, and used this to try and now model a random forest to find the relationship between the reflection from the band and the value, the indices values with the forest biomass. So, and also did the same with the Sentinel-1. Extracted, now for Sentinel-1, we just extracted the VV and the VH. And then also I calculated their ratio. So I used, I think it was VV over VH. I also did the same. So I started with modeling just Sentinel-2 variables by themselves. And in the next part, I tried to combine Sentinel-2 variables and Sentinel-1 variables to see any improvement, of which there was some improvements, but it was not that much. Just a little improvement was done by adding the Sentinel-1. But now the biggest issue in my results came when I was now running the random forest. Because when I was running the random forest, I found a very odd R squared. So when I combined the two, I got an R squared of 0, which was as a result of adding now the Sentinel-1. Without the Sentinel-1, now the Sentinel-2 gave me an R squared of minus 0 point something. So it was almost 0, but now I still raised a question on the negative R squared. And we concluded this to be as a result of, Iowa has only 5% forest cover. So when I was in Iowa, I knew it's also rich in croplands. So there's a high chance even the buffer sort of covered areas with the cropland and also grassland. And this might also have impacted on top of now the switching of the coordinates. And after this, I went ahead and there's a new feature in GIS. It's like an AI. So they embed the images from different sources. So I used an Alpha Earth embedding, which I had to download into Google Earth Engine. So this Alpha Earth embedding tries to combine images from different satellites, and it also includes LiDAR, which is the JEDI. So we believe Alpha Earth is the most accurate you could get. It's not a satellite though, because it's just they are like fusing different satellites to give you now that the Alpha Earth engine. So I used this, and the result that I got in Alpha Earth now proved to me that the problem was on the data.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So it wasn't that good, but at least by the end of it all, I learned something and also learned about data integrity and the impact it could cause.
I think they're really great lessons that you've learnt. You talked about the lecturers, David, Bruce, and those guys,
Yeah.
and telling you that you were on the wrong path, and then that in some people they would go, oh, I don't like this, but other people like yourself have gone, well, how do I actually improve? And therefore, I think you learn the most by making mistakes or by recognizing mistakes. And I think in both of those examples, both in your university studies, you were, either making mistakes or not understanding, but then you delved into it to then learn it. And then the same in the project, things weren't adding up. And so you go, well, what is the issue here? And as you've concluded, the issue was the data. And I think, I mean, if you take your career into any GIS environment, data is always the big problem. It,
Yes,
I, I'm working on a project for an electrical utility in New South Wales, and their data model is 20 years old, and the data is 20 years old. Well, it's not all 20 years old. It's been going in all the time. But
yeah.
over time, the data integrity degrades and no one's been maintaining it. And so trying to get to the bottom of what the data issues are so you can then start doing what you want to do. And I think they're really valuable lessons that you've learnt through the course, through the project, and even with Michael Greer with the surveying, that 5 mil, where did we lose that 5 mil? Most people would say 5 mil, that's okay.
Yeah. I think if you meet with the right person, they'll just tell you, from what I've seen and what I've been told, I think it's just data. Because basically that's everything you need to start your work or something. So if it's wrong, there's nothing you can change about it. If it's processing, you can still go back to the data and then start all over again. But if the data is wrong, it's just wrong. That's why even right now, if someone gives me work, the first thing I'll go, there's some information I might not get about the data. That's some fact I can't change. But at first, I'll just go to the metadata, understand that data, get it absorbed in my head. If I see this, it means this. And if I see this, it means this. That way, if I get to open the data again, I can easily identify the mistakes that are just openly available.
Yeah.
And this also goes back to what you've said. If someone does something wrong and it affects the integrity of the data, so the problem comes in where you can identify where the problem started coming in. Because if it's in a range of 20 years,
Yeah.
might be even someone started messing it in the 8th year. So it's
Yeah.
this person makes this mistake, so it's transferred to the next person. And if the next person makes another mistake, it just keeps on being transported to the next, and it gets worse.
Well, and even in your, your surveying example with that 5 mil, so if you'd accepted that and went, yep, that's okay, then the next project that joins it is going to start being 5 mils out. And so then they might, and then so you get, so 5 mils over time then might become, 10 centimeters or 30 centimeters or, even worse.
Yeah,
And so I think that's a really great mindset to have in terms of going to that metadata. And Javid put a comment in before he dropped off, but he was talking about ArcGIS Online being a great choice of getting data for research, which I agree with. But you still need to do exactly what you just said, is that you need to make sure that the data that you're using is fit for purpose for what you want to use it for.
yeah.
And
So
so understanding the metadata rather than just going, oh, it's road center lines or it's property boundaries or whatever, and then just start using it because it may not have been created for the type of purpose you're wanting to use it for.
exactly. So what he's saying is right, but there's one thing we also need to know. For instance, just because we have AI, you cannot just say you'll use what AI gives you. So the same to ArcGIS Online. I'm not discouraging it, but we need to know this is something done by someone also. So I just wanted to start from data itself. You're given the data because outside there, you might not get everything in ArcGIS Online. Some
Yeah.
people will collect the data and bring it to you. I've collected this data. So I felt like having the ideas from scratch, what I need to do and everything, is what will build me as a person.
Yeah,
It
for
didn't
sure.
go well as I I expected it to, but what I learned is what I really find valuable.
Yeah, and I think that is probably the most valuable part about it is that you're recognizing um, those learning opportunities and how you can build on them. Um, I remember a course that I did in university, and it was called spherical trigonometry. So it was, your normal trigonometry for triangles, but it's the basis of all surveying, essentially spherical
Yeah.
trigonometry, because it's all the maths behind, when you measure a line, that there's a curvature of the earth, and then a triangle no longer measures 180 degrees in the angles and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my mind around it in the beginning of it. And I did a bit like
Yeah.
you. I kept getting things wrong. But by getting them wrong and going to the lecturer, and the lecturer was really good, he then spent the time so I would understand. And then when it came to the exam, those people who thought they understood it right right at the start didn't do so well at the exam because they didn't know how to work through the problem. And
Yeah.
whereas I was lucky enough to be able to work through the problem because I've had those issues. And it sounds like you've done a similar thing for all of those things. And even making the choice to come to Australia, is a real courageous thing to do, because you could have gone, I'll just stay back in your home country and pursue whatever. Um, and you'd done your degree and all that sort of stuff. And you're going, here's an opportunity to do something different in a different place and a different thing. And that means you've got to learn from day one. It's not like, you're thrown into this
Yeah. It's just
foreign
for
environment.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have a problem of getting when I get a challenge, I go fully in because I was to choose different projects because they give you an option. But after what I experienced in my advanced Earth observation, I just decided I want to do this. Let me get into the problem again. So I have a problem of going into my problems in a way. So yeah, that's basically what
Nice.
I focus on. Yeah.
And so where do you want to take your degree and your career from here? Are you looking to stay in Adelaide for the short term, medium term, or are you going to head back home? What's your plans?
Um. So far, so good. I'll say I know more about Australia when it comes to GIS and spatial side compared to Kenya. So if someone tells me there's this part time and there's this, why not just sit down and interact with the great minds? Because I've met with great minds, although there are people who you meet and when you talk with them, they say, oh, you're good. But at the end of it, I'll just say I've met with great minds and people who think on just hitting the sky. They want to go to the limit. And that just makes me think of it every now and then. And every time I go to bed, I'll find something just hitting my head. This person said this. If I didn't understand something now, it will just be ruining my day or even my night until I get something about it. Because there's a time I think in just the special information day, I met with the I'm forgetting the lady's name, but he's popular in special. Is it special? One special, yeah. She works
Oh,
in
yeah.
one special. I forget. Is it Zella or Izella? Some Zogi, I think so.
Oh, yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. So I met with her. She sort of gets more involved in the FME. So the first time I met her was in 2024, August, the first now Spatial Information Day that I joined. So when I met with her in our conversation, the FME came up, and I could not wait for that day to come to an end so that I could go and figure out what is FME, because I think I need to understand. So it sort of disturbed my mind until I came, sat down, and read about it, read what it does. That's when I was comfortable. So right now, when someone talks of FME, now I can follow. But back then, that just remained stuck in my mind. Like everything else she said, I was conversant with it. But now the FME is what now my mind could not let go, because what is this? It's like a bug that comes into a program you're coding. So that just keeps you
Got to
from
figure
moving.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
So the great minds that I've met just give me the eagerness to stay. But also I'm also looking forward to what will come. I might not know what might come, but I might say I'll do this and then get this opportunity. I'm always open. So if someone says, you've had some little experience in surveying, why don't you come and try hold on to this surveying? It's okay. It doesn't kill, at least it doesn't kill my special area. Provided it's in my special area, yeah. But I'm thinking of staying.
I think both of your areas of study, and even bringing in surveying into it, the space side of it, the spatial side of it, the surveying side of it, there's probably opportunities here in Australia. The space industry here is growing, and there's a guy by the name of Peter Kinney. He's probably worth, if you don't know him, I'll send you an introduction, but he's comes from a spatial industry background, but has moved into that space area. And so he might be someone really good to chat with, just to understand. But I think just taking those different areas of studies and bringing it together, that I think gives you a really unique set of combined skills. And so hopefully that means that whether you continue to stay in Adelaide or Australia, then you're able to then build on that. But if you go back to Kenya or wherever, then you can add to that as well. So I really appreciate your time today. It has been I really enjoyed listening to about your project and how you worked on it, and
yeah.
And the learnings that you got from being a student, and I think part of being a student is being open to make mistakes, open to learning, and going from there. So I personally wish you well for your entire career.
Thank you.
We've got Florian. Don't want to put Florian on the spot, but if you want to ask a question, Florian, please do. You can either come off mute or just put it in the chat. If not, that's okay as well.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you for the chat. It was really great. I just wanted you mentioned, Moses, that your background, you studied astronomy or astrophysics before.
Yep.
Was it just were you doing a bachelor's of science, or was it a master's in?
No, it was a bachelor's
Was a bachelor.
science astronomy. Yeah. Then
Okay.
I moved to master's in GIS. Here.
And because I also have a background in astronomy and space engineering, and I was looking into some opportunities to do a master or a course in GIS. So was it complicated to switch from astronomy to GIS? Do you have some trouble to get some equivalents for units or something?
Not really. Did you do some remote sensing in your astronomy? Did they give you an option for such?
I think we've done it briefly, but it was also it was quite old. It was more than 10 years ago.
There's normally the GIS. I'm sure you also did some coding, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the mathematical codings. So it's not that hard. They'll just compare because space, the astronomy and astrophysics is more complicated compared to GIS because you also need to know the quantum and everything. So it's not supposed to be that hard moving to GIS.
Okay,
And
great. Good
one
news.
thing I'll say, Dean, it's funny how people always move. Someone could start from surveying and they'll just end up in GIS, or maybe GIS end up in space. These things are just normally related. You just need to find your spark,
Yeah.
sort of like a spark that will move you from this to this.
Yeah, and I agree because, you know, part of doing any initial degree or any initial studies is to find out what inspires you, what direction you want to take your career, and changing to something else isn't necessarily meaning that you're giving up on those other things.
Yeah.
You're bringing them together, and I find it really interesting that Florian, you've joined, and it's a very aligned career. Obviously, Moses hasn't been that gap between your original bachelor's and now your GIS, but that's just an amazing coincidence that you guys have the a similar thoughts and paths and stuff like that, and so probably worth chatting, you guys chatting afterwards as well. So, or at least staying in touch.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think basically in learning you if you just sit down and look keenly, you learn everything. Because when I was doing space science, I learned remote sensing. Remote sensing got me to GIS, and in GIS, I also sort of took AI inside and also took sustainable development, something you least expect someone to take. And believe me, when I was doing sustainable development during my research, I came across a satellite launched by China, which monitors sustainable development. And I think there's just the other day we were talking with Bruce. They've launched. It's called SDG1. It can monitor, I don't know, poverty and everything. I haven't gotten a chance to use it because you can't just use it. It's not freely available. You need to write to them. So I was still waiting on the one that our lecturer Bruce had requested to use, and then I'll just jump in and look at how it works. But whether you like it or not, the life we are going to, everything is going to be interrelated. So you don't need to know everything, but if you know one thing, then you know everything.
I really like that. That's a great way to, I guess, wrap it up. That's showing that, so many things are interconnected, both from a career, an ideas, a study, and a community. So thanks for being part of it today, Moses. And please stay in touch, and all the best for where you go from here. I was going to try and get across to Spatial Information Day this year, but unfortunately not. But I'll be back in Adelaide in October. So we should try and catch up then. And next week, we're speaking to a guy by the name of Vaughan Middleton, who works for Woods Mackenzie. So yeah.
That's great. I was looking forward to seeing you on August 7th. Oh God, what's changed?
Yeah, so sorry about that. I was hoping to be there, but a few other things have come up that means I'm staying here in Tassie for now. So
Yeah, it's okay. Probably when you hop by, we might catch up.
yes. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Moses, and
Thank you.
have a great day, and we'll chat again soon.
Okay,
Thanks a lot,
see you.
everyone. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.